Remind you of what Matt started with this party with the pastor right after service. If you've not been to party with the pastor, 20 minutes after service, lunch is served. Great chance to hear of our history, our future, our vision, and meet the team. We would love to have you join us. You don't need reservations. We're ready for you. When I first began to wear contact lenses, it was a learning curve for me. And I got up one morning to put my contact lenses in. And I wear, like a lot of people, I wear one for distance and one for up close. And so I put my contact in on this morning. I put my contacts in, and it was, new. I probably had them 2 or 3 days. And my left eye was like, it hurt. I couldn't see, and it was kind of watering, and it hurt. And I thought, well, probably what I did was I got them mixed up. I put the wrong one in the wrong eye. And so I went to take this one out, and I couldn't find it. So I took this one out and put on what I could with my glasses to try to look in the mirror and see this one. And it wasn't there. And I'm like, oh, well, it's not even in there. Somehow I dropped it. It's gone. So I pulled out another pair of contacts, and I thought, well, the problem was that I had switched eyes, so I need to switch these. And so I switched those contacts to what I thought would be correct, and I put the other contact in this eye, and I put the contact that I put in this eye, I switched over to this eye, and I put it in, and man, that hurt. Like this is on fire. Like it was just burning, and I could not get clear vision. And I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening to me? So that clearly I was wrong. I did have them in the right eyes. I need to correct this bad boy. So I pulled this one out and put it on the counter, and I went to go fishing for this one. And once again, I struggled. I couldn't find it. I thought I had it. I couldn't find it. And I thought, what am I doing? How am I 2 for 2 of missing my eye? And my eye must be on fire because my finger had been in the lotion, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went and I got the contact. So I put this one in, and I thought, okay, that's good. I can see. So I put another one in this eye. I'm like, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. I hate this. And I am mad. Now I'm mad at the optometrist. I'm not just mad. I am off the charts, furious at this. And so I get in the car and I drive. I drive like this. This eye is just complete blur. I can't see an inch in front of me. It's just constant watering, and it hurts, and I am so upset. And I go to the optometrist office, and I walk in, and the gal behind the desk can tell that there's something visibly wrong, and she goes, Mr. Smith, are you okay? I'm like, my eye is on fire, and I can't see, and this is ridiculous. What is wrong with these contacts? You've done something wrong with these contacts. They said, well, let's get you in a chair and take a look at you. I said, please do. So they took me in a chair, and they put me in the chair, and they took the little machine that they use, and that machine, and they looked in my eye. They looked in this eye, and they said, yes, the contact is there, and they tested it, and that's the right eye, right contact. They put the machine on this eye, and they start looking, and the doctor goes, And I'm like, yeah, see? That was what I thought. And he goes, Mr. Smith, yes. He said, you have 3 contacts in your eye. And one of them is backwards. So I went home and told Tracy, the doctor apologized to her. I hope today, in our short time together, that I get to bring just a tiny bit of clarity to what can be a blurry picture, Jesus. Before I go any further, I want to pause a note that I made myself earlier. We do have a privilege today. Sam Potter, he doesn't even know I'm doing this. Sam Potter's in the house. Sam Potter is the director of theology here at Ottawa University. And we're pleasure to have you join us today, Sam. God bless you. Thanks for being a part of this. So if there's any part of my sermon you don't like, ask Sam. And then we'll talk at lunch. Luke chapter 15. Did I have you turn there? Luke 15. If you'll stand with me, please, we're going to read just 2 verses. Luke 15, and we want to bring clarity to who Jesus is today, a simple message. Now, the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to him, to Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." Jesus, help us today to know you better. Help us today to see you more clearly. Help us today to leave here better equipped to influence others towards your kingdom. And all City Church said, amen. You may be seated. There was a day that Tracy and I and two of our children, we have 6 children, we took Tracy and I and 2 of our children went on vacation to Disney World. And so we get to Disney World, and there's this attraction at Disney World that's called swimming with the sharks. And so when you swim with the sharks, they put a snorkel on you and a mask and a floaty thing and fit those things on your feet that do this, like, you know, the mermaid things. And then you would go in, and it was this enormous pool, probably the length of this arena. And you would get in, and it had a current, and they were very, very clear that when you get in, don't kick your legs, don't flail your arms. These are sharks, for Pete's sake. Just let the current carry you. Look down, watch the sharks. There's a couple of big ones. Don't be startled. Do not stir the water. They're very clear. Don't do this. Like, okay, we're good. We got this. So we go, and of course, like every good dad, I send my children first. We'll see if you come out on the other side, and then I'll try it. So I get in. My boys make it to the other side. I get in. Like a good husband, I let her leave her last. Get in, make it all the way through, get to the end. When you get to the end, you take off your floaty, you take off your fins, you give your snorkel and your mask. So I get to the end, I take off my floaty, I take off my fins, I take off my snorkel and mask, I turn it all in, and I hear some conversation, and I turn and look, and Tracy is in the water, and they are yelling at her, "Stop kicking! You're moving too much! Stop it! You're gonna draw attention to yourself!" And Tracy's like, she's panic mode now. She's panic mode. And partway through the attraction, there's a big rock, like an island. She makes it to the island and climbs up on the island, and she is done, petrified, like she's going to become a permanent fixture of Disney World. She's done. The sharks, the snorkeling, it all just freaked her out. So I went and had to put on all my gear and, of course, go back to the beginning, and I'm in such a hurry. You can all envision this. I'm in such a hurry that I put my fins on, and then I have to walk to the other end. Coming to get you, honey. So I get in, and I swim, and I get to Tracy on the rock, and I'm like, "Come on, we're gonna make it. Nobody's been eating today. We're gonna be good. We got this. We got this." And we make it to the other side, and we don't attract the sharks. I find it interesting that everywhere that Jesus goes, everywhere that he shows up, both in the scripture and in our lives, even in culture today, whenever Jesus or the name of Jesus arrives, there seems to be some kind of attraction. Negative or positive, there seems to be a stirring. There seems to be something gets shaken up whenever he shows up. And I wonder why. And I think the reason why is we don't understand how good he is. We're in a series called What If, and we're going to ask some what if questions today. But I don't think even we understand who he is and how great he is. I think about his conversation with Moses in the Old Testament when Moses said, "What's your name?" And God said, "I am." And Moses was like, "What's your last name?" And I wonder, God doesn't get confused, but I wonder if there wasn't a moment of confusion where God had to go, I am the light, but I'm not just the light, I'm the way. Well, I'm not just the way, I am the truth. Well, I'm not just the truth, I am your healer. Well, I'm not just your healer, I'm your redeemer. Well, I'm not just your redeemer, I am your destiny. Well, I'm not just your destiny, I am your hope.
I'm not just your hope, but I am your goodness. I'm not just your goodness, but I am your fulfillment. I'm not just your fulfillment, but I'm your sacrificial lamb. I'm not just your sacrificial lamb, but I am the Father. I'm not just the Father, but I am the good Father. I'm not just a good Father, but I am the fulfilling Father. I'm not just the fulfilling Father, I'm the faithful Father. I wonder if he was just like, I am that I am. I just am. In fact, the scripture says that he had to go beyond the heavens so that the galaxies could contain him. This is God. This is the Jesus that loves us. And even when I try to describe that to you, we don't conceptualize that. Let me give you a couple of pictures that might help conceptualize the size of this Jesus. Look at this first picture. In this first picture, you may say, what is the purpose of this picture? All I see is a blue screen, a bit of a stream of light, and then this little white spot. This picture right here, this is the space satellite Hubble, just before Hubble left our galaxy, and they told it to turn around and take a picture of Earth. This is the image it sent back. Here's the next image of it, which brings us to this. Jesus is bigger than this, but took the time to come to this for you and I. It astounds me. It's no wonder when he comes up, there's a stirring of the water. It's no wonder that there's reaction every time Jesus is talked about. He is enormous and cannot be ignored. And in that, we need to ask some questions. And I wonder, why doesn't the world believe that Jesus is as good as he is? Why doesn't the world believe Jesus is as good as he is? I think part of the answer is the church doesn't believe Jesus is as good as he is. And please don't tell me you do believe he's as good as he is, because behavior dictates belief. And if you really behaved like you believe that he's as good as he is, our lives would be dramatically different. We would be far more kind, far more forgiving, far more generous, far more giving, far more serving. Why? Because Jesus is good, and I want the world to know Jesus is good. I don't want them to be in fear of the sharks eating. I want them to see him. We're going to ask some what-if questions today. Like, here's one. What if Jesus is so good that he attracts people that are worse than me? We can say that a little bit different. What if Jesus is so good that he attracts people that have hurt me? We read that he was with the tax collectors and the sinners. A tax collector would, if you look at those words, a tax collector was the detested group of people, and the sinners would be the most evil, most vile. They said that he's with the most detested people and the most evil people. And what if Jesus is so good that he attracts people that have hurt us or people that are worse than us, and then starts being so good to them that they start acting like he's good to them? It says that they said that they accused him, but he received sinners and he eats with them. That was symbolism of completing a relationship. Not only did he receive them, but he's like, I want to complete our relationship. We're gonna eat together. How much is in us? When we ask the question, what if Jesus is as good as he attracts people that are worse than me? I think sometimes the spirit of the Pharisees and scribes rises up. And we don't want him to be that good because those people have hurt us and we owe them one. We don't want him to don't quite be that good. Don't we rate sin on a 1 to 10? We all rate it on a 1 to 10. We rate everything on a 1 to 10. When we're driving on whatever street we're driving on, in my short time of being down here in Arizona, I have discovered that the signs that say speed limit are irrelevant. and the 8-sided red ones with the white letters, forget it. But we do the 1 to 10, don't we? Like we get on the interstate, speed limit 75, but if I go 79, I'm good. Maybe 80 on a bad day. If I keep it at 5 or less, I'm right in the margin of error. But that guy that goes past us at 87 is an idiot. Do we not live? We rate our sin 1 to 10. If I'm living 5 or less, we're good. What if Jesus was so good that he attracted people that are worse than me? Let me challenge you with another one. What if Jesus is so good that he receives people and completes them? If you're in this room, I want you to know something. He actually believes in you. He loves that we took communion today. He wants to dine with you. He wants to complete you. He doesn't see you in your worst moment. He sees you in your greatest opportunity. How do I know that I believe that Jesus believes in me? How do I know if that faith is active? Because listen, faith is not meant to be a preservative. Faith is a call to action. When I know that someone believes in me, like I tell people that someone believes in me. Like shame on the day when someone gets married. Shame on the day when there's a wedding, and after the wedding, you're a little bit inhibited to introduce your new spouse. But when we meet Jesus, how do I know that I really believe that he sees me beyond my worst moment? Because I start acting like the woman at the well, and I go back to the town that knows my darkness and say to them, there's this guy who told me everything I did, and he's amazing. Then I start believing that he can complete me, and until I can believe that he can complete me, I can't believe that he can complete you. That Luke 15 is an incredible story, and I love it. And every time I read it, I get something different from it. I get something deeper from it every single time. It starts with this story of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and they're mad at Jesus, and he's with sinners and tax collectors, and they start accusing him. It starts that way, and then it says that Jesus tells this parable, and we unfortunately we break it up into 3 parables, but it's not 3 parables. It's 1 parable with 3 stories within the parable. And so Jesus tells a parable within earshot of these pastors. Basically, what they were the pastors of the day, and they were like, we cannot have these sinners and tax collectors ruin Jesus' reputation. We're so concerned about his reputation. I wonder what would happen if we lived in the neighborhood where Daniel served Nebuchadnezzar. And what would happen if we walked past the house and looked in the window and we saw Daniel serving a meal and having a conversation with the evil king? I wonder what our presumption would be on the outside when the conversation on the inside went something like this. Daniel, I'm going to promote you because you have an excellent spirit. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to put you in charge of 1/3 of my kingdom because you have an excellent spirit. I wonder if that conversation even might bother us. Here's one. In chapter 15, it ends with the story of the sons, and we have a propensity to call that the prodigal son, and I understand that. I want to challenge our thinking a little bit with this question. What if Jesus is so good that he's the prodigal? Let's look at the definition of prodigal. A prodigal is an adjective. recklessly extravagant, having spent everything. That's the definition of a prodigal. I wonder if Jesus isn't the recklessly extravagant, the one who gave everything. What if we believed that Jesus was extravagant, recklessly loved us? What if he was the real prodigal and loved us limitlessly? What if we looked at it that way? Recklessly extravagant, having spent everything. He held nothing back. This story, there's 100 sheep, there's 10 coins, there's 2 sons. The story starts with, Jesus tells the story. He says, there was this shepherd. He had 100 sheep. One of them wandered off. And so he went and found that one that wandered off. That's so much freedom to me. Because sometimes doesn't life get so consuming that you're just doing life, you're just getting up, going to work, going home, taking care of the responsibilities, facing the broken appliances and having to deal with the air conditioning, and you get the bill in the mail and there's a bad doctor's diagnosis, and then the neighbor stops by and they need a favor, and you slept in a little bit and you're just not feeling really good, and you get home at night and you're tired of the heat, and so you just try to cool down, and we just do life, and all of a sudden we look up and realize, I have just wandered off. I didn't make any decision. I just wandered off. And Jesus draws this picture of this shepherd that says, I'm going to go get them. I think that gives imagery to goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. I love the promise of those words. Goodness and mercy follow me. They clean up my messes. He just goes and finds the one that wandered off. And then the second imagery is the coin. The woman lost a coin. She lost one coin. She lost one coin. One coin. She spends a day and a night searching. I'm like, it's one coin. You got 9 more. And then she finds the coin. And then she has a party that costs her more than the coin was worth. The point of freedom there is that the coin didn't get rejected on its own volition. It didn't make the decision to be abused by the parents, to be rejected by someone that loves them, to be taken advantage of by a person in authority. The coin didn't make the decision of its own volition, but was in a position of being lost. And I think some of us might be able to relate to that. You didn't choose to have abusive parents. You didn't choose to have an unfaithful spouse. You didn't choose to have a promise broken. You didn't choose to have a job that rejected you. And yet, there's this one that is sweeping the floor and putting lights down in the crevices, going to find you and heal you and invite the neighborhood in to party with you, even if it costs more than you're worth. And then there's the sons. There's the sons, and of course, we remember the story. The one son says to dad, I'd like my inheritance today. And he takes his inheritance and he leaves and spends it all. We don't know how he spent it. Some translations say wild living. Some translations say out of control spending. Some translations say with loose giving. It really depends on what you read. But it's not really specific how he wasted his money. And then he goes back home, and the good brother comes to dad and says, I'm not going to that party. And dad says, son, come to the party. And that son says, I have never disobeyed you. I'm like, bro, what are you doing right now? And then he says, you're celebrating the one that went and spent all of his money on prostitutes. Question, how do you know? Or what do you do with your money? We could put it in a different framework. Sometimes we say, yeah, I don't know. I saw this person and I felt like I was supposed to give them some money, be generous to them, but I'm just afraid they'll do something stupid with it. Have you ever done anything stupid with your money? No raise of hands, but what if Jesus is so good that he loves us like a shepherd and he pursues us when we wander? What if Jesus is so good that even the decisions that influenced our life we didn't make, he's ready to heal us from? What if Jesus is so good that he'll be the one, the reckless spender as the Father? What if Jesus is so good he can love like a shepherd, love like the woman, and love like the Father? The truth of the matter is, he is. The word glory is an interesting word, and it's a whole nother study, but the word glory in essence is, what are you most known for? What's your most positive or most popular characteristic trait? What are you most known for? We say that about people perhaps when we haven't seen them for a while and they walk in the room and they go, well, here they are in all of their glory. Or we'll see them in uniform. Oh, there he is in his glory. What are you most known for? What's the most outstanding trait at the moment is really what it means, the glory. And Moses has this conversation with God back in the I am conversation, and he says, okay, listen, I'm going to do what you asked me to do. I'm going to step up. I'm going to step up. Before I step up, you need to show me your glory. It's an interesting conversation. Exodus 33:18. Moses responded, show me your glory. And the Lord replied, oh, I'm going to show you my goodness. I'm going to let my goodness go past you. That's my glory. Back to Luke chapter 15, we come to the end of it. We started in Luke chapter 15. We come to the end of Luke, and we drop to verse 20. Interesting how this is phrased. Luke 15, verse 20. And he arose and came to his father. This is the son. He arose and came to his father. But while he was still, listen to these four words. Listen to these four words. Well, he was still a long way off. His father saw him and felt compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. What if Jesus is so good that he celebrates while you're still a long way off? What if Jesus is so good that you really can trust him with your eternity? Not your current circumstance. Not the shipwreck of life. But what if he's just that good? I'll conclude with this story. Tracy and I lived in Houston, Texas for a year. We were on staff at a big old giant church down there, and there'd been some really poor choices of the leadership, and they had done some brutal decision making and hurt a significant amount of people. Tracy and I were late one night sitting in our front room of our house in Houston, and Tracy said, right now, Russ, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone. Truth is, I don't even know if I can trust you. Like, this is a mess. And I left our house in the middle of the night, and I wandered our neighborhood, asking God, what is this? What is happening? And I found a park bench, and I sat on that bench, and I began to process what is happening to us in the moment, the shipwreck. And I was there for almost an hour, and I came to one conclusion. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know what our future held. I didn't know what was going to happen to our children. I didn't know what was going to happen to our ministry, our career. I didn't know what was going to happen. We were in Houston, Texas, and our home is Montana. We were thousands of miles from anywhere that was anything familiar. I had no idea what was going to happen in the next morning. Sitting on that bench, I came to this place. Here's what I do know. Jesus died, rose again, and loves me. And that was my moment. What if he's really that good? What if I really can love people that have hurt me because he does? What if I really believe that when I wander off, I don't have to beat myself up because goodness and mercy are chasing me? What if those days have passed where family members sexually molested and hurt the way I look at life? What if that doesn't beat me up anymore? What if he looks at you today and says, you're a long way off, and I'm celebrating? What if Jesus was just that good? Will you stand with me, please? I'm going to ask our prayer team to be prepared. In a moment, Matt will come up and dismiss us between here and there. The band is going to take us through a song. I'm going to ask if you would do me a favor right here in this room. If you would honor the moment. If you would perhaps close your eyes and bow your heads. And just in this moment, I want to ask, is today the day where you have to admit that you don't really believe Jesus is as good as he is? You ask yourself that question. Do I really believe Jesus is as good as he says he is? As the band plays this next song, I want to invite you to step out. If I'm speaking to you, and you know if you need to do this, have someone pray with you to help you be reminded that today's the day to make a decision for Christ. Today's the day to love him with all your heart, soul, and mind. Today's the day to really admit, to really confess, to really believe, to really move forward in an aggressive mode. Today's the day to say, Jesus, you're as good as I've been told you are. As the band plays, if we can pray with you, please step forward.